So I'm going to share a story I heard from a caller on the fantasy show that I listen to all the time. Because, it always seems there's always some story, a tale out there about a fantasy commissioner behaving badly. Why, people? Why? There always seems to be no end to a certain faction of knuckleheads out there who manage fantasy leagues. Where do they come from? That's why we do what we do here at Commish RX. We're here to help. We're here to try and make things better. We have got to do better, folks. So you remember when the Patriots replaced their kicker, Stephen Gostkowski, on injured reserve? This was week 4. Okay, well, the following week, this caller called in. His name was Omar, and he played an opponent who had Gostkowski. And they started Gostkowski. So when the first set of games began, he noticed that the owner still had Gostkowski on their roster, still rostered as a starter. Well, about 5 minutes later, after the games had already started and they were locked, Omar noticed that Gostkowski was no longer rostered. It was Chase McLaughlin, the San Diego Chargers kicker, instead. Turns out that the commissioner had also noticed that Omar's opponent had started Gostkowski and decided to swap the players. The commissioner did this on their own accord. Now, at the time of Omar's call, the score was close, and they still had players that had yet to play in that Monday night's game. And Omar said that they were going to leave the league if they lost. Well, the show host said that they should leave anyway. That's an assessment that I agreed with. Either that, or Omar needed to work with the rest of the league to remove the commissioner. Seriously. But if the members of his league think that this type of behavior is okay, then Omar should leave the league. Because what Omar's league manager did is a clear case of an abuse of power. They had no business inserting themselves into someone else's match. Folks, that's not part of the job description. It's just not. I never heard the follow-up to the story, but Omar, what he should have done was asked for a roster reversal. So with the resultant score adjustment. So regardless of whether he won the game or not, it doesn't matter. Because lots of times in leagues, tiebreakers come up with total points, that sort of thing. So points matter, they do. But one thing he shouldn't do is let the commissioner get away with it. Because if he lets the commissioner get away with such an act as this without any real consequences, it sets the stage for the commissioner to do the same thing later in the season if they choose to. I mean, what other situations might come up when he thinks it's okay to manage someone else's roster, right? Which league member will have their victory reversed because the commissioner disagrees with the stat correction? Does this happen during week 13 or week 14 in those leagues that have playoffs? I hate playoffs. You shouldn't, but that's another discussion for another day. But what happens in the first round of the playoffs and the commissioner goes, well, I disagree with Stats Inc. I'm changing the score. You can't give people license to do that. So whatever happens, he needs to make a big stink about it. This was a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully he did that. I mean, here's an example. There are those who may forget to pull an injured player from their starting roster at one time or another. That happens, right? We wish that it wouldn't, but it happens sometimes. Okay. But there are some folks who will leave a player in knowing that they're going to go scoreless at that position. Now, I'm not going to endorse or oppose the strategy. I'm not going to comment on that. That's another time, another place, another day. But I am, however, presenting just another scenario. That's it. Just another scenario where the commissioner may feel that they have to step in and commish. I'm the commissioner, so I have to commish. I need something to do. So what if a commissioner decides to stick their nose in that and correct what they perceive to be a mistake in this case? We got problems, folks. One recurring thing that I come across frequently is that people will moan and wail about behavior like we're talking about right now, but they are reluctant to do or say something because the perpetrator is a friend that they've known for a long time or a family member. Often family members, close friends, those types of fantasy leagues are the ones that people care about the most, and they just don't want to upset things. They want to let the drama at the Thanksgiving dinner be about something else, not the fantasy league. It doesn't matter, folks. Regardless who is running the league, they still need to act responsibly. Responsibly. We talk about this all the time. We've talked about this in the past. You don't let personal relationships cloud your judgment. You don't. It works the same way if you're a player. It works both ways. You don't stay in a league run by your friend that you've known since kindergarten where they feel it's okay to swap your opponent's kicker simply because they have access to the tools to do so. If you care about the longevity of your league, you have to hold your league commissioner to a higher standard. Expect more from them. Demand accountability. Likewise, fantasy players, they need to have high expectations of themselves and what kinds of behavior that they are willing to accept from their commissioners and, frankly, each other. If you enable shady behavior, is going to continue. If you can't trust your commissioner, they need to be replaced. Even your friends, your uncle, it doesn't matter. If they are shady things going on in your league, leave. Complaining all the while, but still staying in the league doesn't help anyone. Deferring to ill behavior just enables folks to do more stupid stuff for you to do nothing more than to go complain about on Twitter and talk radio. Let's do better, folks.